welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie if you're new here, and today we're going to be talking about the 23 most anticipated reads that I have for 2023. This is a little bit different than I guess most people's 23 books, and that is because I am trying to complete my physical TBR, or at least get close. And in order to do that, all of the books that are on this list are books that I physically own, so none of them are really new releases or anything like that, so sorry if that's not interesting, but if you have read any of these books, please let me know down in the comments below. I also will state that I am not the biggest person when it comes to knowing a lot about books when I go into them, so I will do my best to describe these books to you and let you know what they're all about. But I am not going to go into a ton of detail just because, like I said, I don't generally know a lot about these books. So let's get into it. Alright, so the first book is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I started reading this book last year, but it was just way over my head and I could not get into it. And it's because it's a very high fantasy book, and I feel like I'm kind of to the place now where I can absorb some of this information that I wasn't able to absorb before. So this book follows a woman whose husband murdered her son and stole her daughter. And she's one of our main characters. I believe that this book does follow multiple POVs, so I'm not entirely sure what other POVs there is, but I know about this character. And I believe that the reason that he did this has something to do with her daughter having magic. I could be so wrong about this entire book, so if I am, I'm so sorry, please tell me. But I am really excited to eventually get to this book this year and then potentially pick up the next two. I do own them, they're back here. And they're obviously part of my physical TBR as well, so I do want to read them. But we're going to start with the first book and see if I can get through it. So, alright, the next book is also a part of a series. This is actually the second book in a series, and essentially, I would like to finish the whole series this year. I don't know if that's gonna happen. I would like to get to New Moon by Stephanie Meyer this year. So New Moon is obviously the second book in the Twilight series. Twilight follows our main character, Bella. Obviously, everybody knows what Twilight is. If you don't, I'm very surprised. But this is the first time I'm ever reading the books or watching the movies. So, very shocking. Basically, Bella is sent to live with her dad in Oregon, Washington, one of those states, and she falls in love with a vampire. And so this book follows her friend Jacob, who I'm assuming there's going to be a love triangle. We know these things from knowing what Twilight is, but my sister-in-law actually last year was telling me about how much she liked these books and liked the movies, and I've never watched any of the movies. I've now finished Twilight, the first book, and I really enjoyed it, so I want to get to New Moon and then hopefully finish out the series as well. And then once I finish out the series, I am going to watch the movies. I do own all of the movies, so yeah, let me know if you'd be interested in seeing a video of me reading the last 3 books in the series plus watching all of the movies, and we can chat about it. Alright, the next book is Finley Donovan is Killing It, and this book follows a single mom of 2 who is a struggling novelist, and she sits down one day at a cafe with, I believe it's her editor, with her agent, and is talking about her characters of this book. And obviously she's a novelist of murder mysteries, so she's talking about murder. And somebody comes up to her thinking that she's a hit woman and asks her to kill her husband. So this sounds like a ton of fun, plus this book is gorgeous. I love the pink cover. So I am really excited to pick this up here shortly. This is probably going to be a book that I'll pick up in like January or February because I'm very excited to read this. Alright, the next book is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. So this book follows our main character who gets swept into some sort of a labyrinth and finds a book that is about his childhood. And I'm not entirely sure much more than that on this book. I know that this is a very well-loved book, and I'm really, really excited to pick this up. I've owned this for a while and just haven't gotten to it. I think I'm a little intimidated because it is such a hyped-up book, but I think that this is going to be a really good read, and if I enjoy it, I'll probably buy and pick up The Night Circus next. But yeah, this is one that I'm definitely hoping to get to this year, and I'm really excited to see what it's all about. Plus, I love books about books, and this book is a book with books in it, so I'm very excited. All right, this next book is Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson, and this is a fantasy romance. I picked it up because of Haley Pham. She talked about it on her channel and said that it's one of her favorite books, and so I couldn't help myself because look at that freaking cover, like, that is so beautiful. So I'm really excited to pick this up. This is another one that I don't know a lot about other than I know it's a fantasy romance. I'm assuming it probably follows like a kingdom. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what it's about, but this is definitely one that I'm excited to pick up this year. All right, everybody has seen this one coming probably in every video that you watch this year, but I also would like to read Babel by R.F. Kuang. Honorable mention is I also would like to finish the Poppy War trilogy. I have read the first book, so I want to read the second and third book this year, but priority would be to finish and read Babel. I don't know a ton about this book other than I believe it takes place at Oxford, but in like a fantastical, our world but fantastical. So it follows our main character Robin, and he is a translator. And I'm not really sure much beyond that. I know that I keep saying that in this video that I just don't really know a lot. But like I said, I like to go into books blind. So just kind of telling you, these are the books that I'm excited to read. I cannot wait to pick this up. This book is stunning. Plus, I absolutely am obsessed with R.F. Kuang's writing style. And I love, on her books, they always have this, like her initials right here. And oh, God, it's just so pretty. I'm so excited to read this book. So this is probably going to be one that I'm going to get to very soon. Okay, the next book is Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. So this book follows a cast of characters. I believe that they're 5 teenagers that spent their whole childhood wanting to fight off this Dark One. And when he's finally taken down, now they're very famous and their life's purpose is completed. So now they are trying to grapple with life going back to normal, which has never been normal to them. Kind of reminds me of like the Marvel universe post everything that happened, and how are they supposed to just go back to normal. It kind of gives me the same vibes as this, so I'm really excited to pick this up and see what it's all about. I've owned this one for quite a while as well, and so I'm really excited to pick this up. The next book is Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is going to be my first Emily Henry book, but I am excited to pick this up because I want to get into her books. This book follows our main characters, January and Augustus, and they are both novelists that are living in a beach town in houses next to each other, and they strike a deal to switch genres, and so they both have to write books that are different than what they normally do. January usually writes like happily ever after, happy books, and Augustus usually writes pretty down in the dumps type of books. So now they're switching, and I'm assuming this is going to be an enemies to lovers beach read writing book. So I'm really excited to pick this up. I've obviously heard great things. My cousin is the one who recommended this to me, and so I'm very excited to pick it up. All right, the next book is The Witch Haven, and this is by Sasha Payton Smith, and I'm super excited to pick this up, probably not until around October again, just because it's about witches, so obviously. I like the back of this book, so I'm just going to read it to you. Haxhaven Academy Rules for Young Witches. 1, mind your instructors. 2, no unsupervised spell work. And 3, don't leave after dark. So I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of a mystery element to this, and I'm really excited to pick it up. This is one that I'm not even going to look up what it's about because I just don't want to know. It's gorgeous. I love the like rose gold. I'm obsessed. So I do definitely want to pick this up probably closer to the fall, and I am very excited to get to it. All right, the next book is Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. I have been wanting to get more into romances this year, and so this is going to be one that I'm going to get into. However, with romances, I'm, once again, not a big fan of knowing much about them. So, sorry, but I'm just telling you, this is one I'm excited to read. It's gorgeous as well. I love how bright it is. And it's a signed edition. So, gotta love that. So, I'm excited to pick this up. And I will likely have a vlog where I read this. You know me, I like to do weekly vlogs, so you'll probably see lots and lots of these books in vlogs in the next year. The next book that I would like to read in 2023 is The Circus Train, and this is by Amita Parikh, and I am very excited to pick this up. I do have a book bingo prompt for the year that is to read a book from an author with the same initials as you, and she has the same initials as me, so I will likely be picking this book up for that prompt. But I am very excited about this. The Circus Train, just the title itself is really like enchanting to me, and this was my December book of the month pick, so I'm just very excited to pick this up. Alright, another book that I'm probably going to get to here shortly is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I have owned this book for like 3 years and have not read it, and that's honestly a shame. So I'm really excited to get to this book. I did start it, and I got to page 28 and then stopped, but like I said earlier with the 5th season, is I was kind of not in a place where I could absorb these novels back then, so I am really excited to pick this up because I want to get to Hellbent when it comes out this month as well. So yeah, Ninth House, I'm sure you guys all know what this is about. I know very little. Surprise, surprise. Alright, the next book is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This book follows our main character Elizabeth, I believe, and she works in a library. It's a fantastical library. When something wrong happens, something along the lines of a book getting out, like a tome getting out. Anyways, and she gets taken away to this place, and I'm not doing a good job of describing this because I don't really remember. I did start reading this book years ago, and I'm just barely getting back to wanting to read it. But what I did read of this book, I really enjoyed. I just was in the mood for something else, so I put it down. But it's a gorgeous cover. I hear great things, and I like this type of fantasy that's about books and like magic and what most fantasy books are about. So I'm excited to get to this as well. Okay, this book, Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend. I absolutely loved the first 2 books in this series. This is the 3rd book. The first book was Nevermore, and the second book was Wondersmith, and then this is Hollowpox, of course. These books follow our main character, Morgan Crow, and she was a cursed child in the land that she grew up in. And she was predicted to die on her 11th birthday when she got swept up and brought to the land of Nevermore. And basically, in order to stay in Nevermore, she had to go through a bunch of trials and get accepted into this school. So it's very much like a magical school system. It starts when she's 11, very similar to like the Harry Potter type style. A lot of people say that this is like the next best thing since Harry Potter. I really, really enjoy it. I don't think that they're the same at all. This isn't about like wizards. It's definitely about knacks. And so each of our characters have a specific knack that they can do. So like one specific power, I guess you could say it. And these books are just really good. And I've just been putting this one off for such a long time because it has been a while since I read the last 2. So I need to get a little refresher, and then I will be ready to pick up Hollowpox. Okay, the next book is One by One by Ruth Ware. I've only ever read one other Ruth Ware book before, and it was The Turn of the Key, and I really enjoyed that book, so I'm excited to pick this up and see what I think. From what I understand, this book follows 8 coworkers that go to a snowy resort town and get trapped up there, and somebody dies, and it's very much like a whodunit type mystery, but I am very excited to pick this up, and I think that this cover is so pretty, and I really like Ruth Ware's work that I've read before, so I'm definitely excited to get to this book as well. Okay, the next book is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I don't want to know a lot about this either going in. I know that it follows 7 people who are interested in Shakespeare. I don't know if they actually are in a play or what exactly it is, but I know that there's like a Shakespearean accent into this book. I've just heard so many good things about this book, and so I'm really, really excited. I hope that the hype doesn't ruin it for me, but I'm just very excited about it. And it takes place in like scenes, so I'm just really, really excited to see what happens in this book. And it's gorgeous! All of these books are just so pretty. Clearly, I just am obsessed. The next book is The Name of the Wind, and I will be reading this month for the Wyverns and Words book club that Katie is reading and Cassandra Lynn puts on every month, and this is their book club pick for January. I have owned this for a long time and have been really intimidated by its size because it's a huge book, but it's also very floppy, so I'm very excited. This follows our main character who starts out school very, very early. I think that he's very advanced in schooling. I believe that he has magical abilities, whether he's a wizard or something like that, and I believe that he also ends up killing the king. So this is called the King Killer Chronicles. And I've just heard really good things about this as well, so I'm really excited to get to this and see what all the hype is about. But I've heard a lot of good things about this, and I know that this is a huge high fantasy series, and I feel like this is going to be a good one for me to get into to begin my journey into high fantasy. In the same vein, we have Mistborn. I know I've talked about this book a lot. I am intimidated by this book, but I really, really, really want to get into Brandon Sanderson's books, and I am obsessed with this cover. So this book is what happens when the good guys lose. So the bad guy won, he's taken over the world, and now these ragtag bunch of criminals have decided to band together to go and kill this evil lord. And so it takes place with them on this heist, and some of them have magical abilities, and so they have to use like elements to supplement their powers. So that is how they go about it. And I am just, there's so many things about this book that I'm so excited to get to, so I definitely will be picking this up probably here shortly. This is probably going to be the book that I pick up for my birthday, honestly, because I have just been like dying to read this book and just been super intimidated by it. Clearly, a lot of these books that I have on my TBR that I have been putting off are just books that I'm really intimidated by. Okay, this next book is one that I'm embarrassed to say I haven't read yet. I have started it, but I didn't get very far. And that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. So this book follows our main character who sold her soul to the devil to get out of a arranged marriage years and years and years ago. And basically in doing so, she's going to live forever, but nobody will ever remember her. So she can sit and have a conversation with somebody, but as soon as she walks away, they won't remember the conversation at all, and they'll completely forget that they had ever seen her. Until one day, a man remembers her. So this is the story of this man and her. Actually, I believe they have a relationship, and he remembers who she is, and I'm very interested to see how the aftermath of that happens. I believe that this is a pretty sad book from what I've seen, so I'm interested, and we'll see how this goes. I pretty much swore I wasn't going to read, and then I changed my mind. So this is Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I read From Blood and Ash, and I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it like a lot of people do, but it wasn't my favorite. And after having more time to sit on it, I cared less and less about it. So I just was like, I'm not going to read this book. I have no interest. But one of my really good bookish friends, Beth, did send this to me for my birthday last year. Was it last year? 2 years ago. She sent this to me in 2021. It's crazy to me. Anyway, so I'm not really sure which characters this follows. I don't know if this is the follow-up book or if this is a companion novel. I don't know much about it because I've, like I said, literally sworn I was never going to read this book, but she sent it to me, and I'm finally to a place where I am ready to read this. So I'm excited to pick this up, and I've heard that the series does get better as it goes along, so I'm hoping that this book does get better as well. Okay, this next book is one that I'm really excited about, and I honestly am going to probably get rid of this edition and buy the fancy editions of these, but this is The Last Wish. This is the prequel, I believe, to the Witcher series. So this is like the novella that happens beforehand, I believe. Yeah, this is introducing The Witcher. So this is obviously The Witcher, the story of the video game and the TV show The Witcher. So I'm really excited to get to these as well. I want to watch the show and play the games. Ryan is a really big gamer, and so I just want to be able to like play a game and be interested in it, but I want to get the backstory beforehand. So I'm going to be reading this. I'm very excited. I also, like I said, I'm going to buy the fancy editions that have the super pretty spines. After I finish this, I'm probably going to buy the box set. But yeah, I'm very excited, and I've been anticipating reading this book for so long, and I'm so excited. This next book is one I can kind of talk about. This is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I read the Grisha trilogy this last year in 2021 or 2022, and I liked it a lot. I read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom a couple years ago and absolutely loved them, and then really liked the trilogy. And this book follows Nikolai and his companions as he's trying to like work out being king and also work out being basically what happens to him in the last book of the Grisha trilogy. So I don't really want to spoil anything because it is a companion novel to those series, but I'm very excited to pick this up. And I also have Rule of Wolves, so I'm excited to pick that up as well once I finish. And then the last book, the 23rd book, is Book of Night by Holly Black. I know that a lot of people don't love this book. I've heard a lot of negative things about it, but I love Holly Black. I love the Folk of the Air trilogy, and honestly, I'm super excited to read this. So I will be getting to these books all pretty soon. Sorry that this wasn't super elaborate in my descriptions of these books, but I'm very excited to pick these all up. And I will likely have vlogs for most of these books throughout the year. So if you read any of these books, please leave a comment down below on what your thoughts were. And if you have any books that you're anticipating to read in 2023, also leave that down below. I want to say thank you to everybody for staying to the end of this video, and I hope that you have a great day or night. Bye.